Hi there, I'm Jules and welcome to the Body Retreat. Thank you for joining me today. Today I want to talk about cravings. This is something we get asked lots about both at the Body Retreat and also it's quite a popular question over on our Facebook page as well. How do you get a handle on, how do you begin to control your cravings? And it seems like such a short question, but actually it's quite a complex, cravings are quite complex because you really need to understand a little bit more about what's driving the cravings, and then that helps you to be able to work back into what's the best way for you to be able to regain control from that craving. Now I think it's important to say that not everybody has cravings. I have met women who do not understand that kind of very strong physiological drive, the desire of almost excluding all other things, that you need to consume something, and then it becomes almost a sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the only thing that's going to kind of tick the box in that moment. And you can probably tell from the way I describe it that I have had loads of cravings. So I understand what it's like when you're in the throes of a craving. And actually you think that I will just give in to this craving. This is the best thing to do right now in the moment. But actually it can begin a bit of a spiral out of control. So there are things that you can do to help yourself to regain control of cravings. But let me first of all share with you the 7 most common reasons why cravings happen. Not all of them might apply to you, but I'm sure there'll be at least 1 or 2 in here that are going to make you think for a moment. So the first one is dehydration. When you think about it, the body is nearly 70% water. Our cells are water. I once heard a great saying that you are only as healthy as the fluid that you swim in. And so we do need to remain hydrated throughout the day. And it's so easy when you're busy, when you're getting caught up in other jobs and tasks, to ignore drinking anything really. I mean, I can go hours sometimes without having a drink. And when you're dehydrated, you can begin to confuse those signs, subtle signs of dehydration, with hunger. And then when you eat something, your body will take the fluid from the food that you've eaten, and that will help to satisfy those dehydration. And so you very quickly begin to think, every time I feel X, the answer is to eat. And actually the answer might be to be hydrated. The second, and probably one of the most common causes of cravings that we hear about, is a carb come down. So you probably are already aware of how when we eat any type of food, there is an exchange from that food into energy that happens in the body. Now, how quickly that energy exchange is down to the style, the source of the food that you're eating. And when your diet is particularly high in like refined carbohydrates, processed foods, simple sugars and starches, then that energy is very quickly released. And so you feel absolutely great, but guess what? You get that little bit of a blood sugar crash. And when your blood sugar level is low, then of course you get a craving. And you're not craving broccoli, you're craving potato chips, you're craving bread, you're craving noodles, you're craving all of those processed fast-acting carbohydrates again. So carb come down is one of the common ways of getting a craving pop up. Having emotional upset, if you're not happy at the moment, then you'll be looking to change your mood in your brain. And we know that when we eat food that we can change how we feel. So if you're generally feeling a bit unhappy, a bit low, if you're not happy at work, if you're not happy at home, then you can find yourself beginning to crave foods that help you to change your brain chemistry. The next one then, and particularly for us women, is hormones. Hormones, I mean, we talk a lot at the Body Retreat that, weight loss isn't about calories, weight loss is about hormones, and really understanding hormones is the key, but particularly when it comes to cravings. That's why us women can tend to find ourselves, as we're going through our monthly cycle, feeling more prone to having cravings at different times of the month. So hormones play a really big part in cravings as well. After that then, I would say the next big one is poor sleep. So when you don't sleep well at night, it impacts your hunger hormones in particular, and then and so therefore making you more prone, feeling tired and lethargic the next day, having blood sugar imbalances, having hormonal imbalances, not sleeping well at night almost sets you up for the following day to be craving those fast-acting carbohydrates again. Stress, that's another big factor that will bring about cravings, particularly if you're under a period of chronic stress. And again, this is related to hormones, related to that fight or flight system where your body is on high alert, feeling like you are needing to fuel to run away from something scary, but when actually you're sitting in your office. And so when you find yourself under periods of chronic stress, it's very common for you to have those cravings as well. And then the last one, which is quite interesting, is it can also be a sign of nutritional imbalance or a vitamin or mineral deficiency that can actually cause cravings. The body's really intelligent and it knows what it wants to eat. And sometimes that's why, for example, if you are magnesium deficient, you might find yourself craving chocolate. When actually a better source of magnesium, because very dark chocolate does contain a good source of magnesium, but it might be better for you to have avocados, salmon fillets, Brazil nuts. They're great sources of magnesium, and by putting those into your diet, you're helping the rebalance there rather than having a bar of dairy milk. So I think there's a number of different things that when you think about your personal craving, is thinking about what's driving the behavior that you've got, because that maybe will help you to go back and unpick and be able to then regain a sense of control from the craving back to yourself. So that sounds like quite a big piece of work, doesn't it? You got to wait for the next craving. You got to kind of maybe sit quietly and think about, well, how am I feeling? How have I slept? What have I eaten? Blah, blah, blah. And I do think that's valuable to do, but let me give you 3 top tips to be able to help you to, get a handle on your cravings right now. And possibly this is a great time as it's the beginning of the year. We're in the middle of January. We've all been through our Christmas indulgence, and so therefore the body is used to eating and behaving in a certain way, and now you're trying to get back on track, and maybe you're struggling a little bit with that, so you're finding that the cravings are popping their heads up even more. So my top 3 tips to get a handle on your cravings right now. Number 1 is to eat enough food, particularly good quality protein. Now, it's very tempting when you've gone through a period of overindulgence to try and balance that up by starving yourself and depriving yourself and calorie counting, and you end up trying to survive on very little. But of course, it's that thing again of your body and your brain want to keep a sense of balance, and so therefore you will begin to have increased cravings. So eating enough is really important, but eating enough of the right stuff. So for me, the right stuff for every main meal starts with a good source of protein, whether that's animal protein or plant protein. So think about every main meal, where's my protein source? The second thing then is to come back to dehydration. Drink plenty of water. I would say right now, aim to drink, I'm just going to see my bottle here, aim to drink about at least a litre of water every day. Now, we're all individual, and the amount of water or fluid that we actually need does depend on our weight, our body mass, our muscle mass, our activity levels, so many different variables. But I think that as a base, as a start, if you can drink 1 litre of flat water every day and start eating your protein, you are going to find that those cravings are really diminished. And then if a craving does pop its head up, then I want you to think about the 15-minute rule. That if you can distract yourself away from the craving for 15 minutes, that's possibly going to help. If it's a conditional craving in the brain, if you kind of look at something shiny over here, or get involved in a project over there, speak to your best friend, watch something really engrossing on television, and put out of your mind altogether the thought of the food that you are craving, you're much, much less likely to want it after 15 minutes. So there you have it, my top 3 tips then for getting control of your cravings this new year. 1, eat enough, and particularly eat enough protein. Ask yourself, where's the protein source with every meal? 2, drink enough, particularly water. Aim to try and drink about 1 litre of water every day. And then 3, if those cravings do strike, think about the 15-minute rule. Distract yourself, absorb yourself completely away from thinking about that food. And if at the end of the 15 minutes you still really want a piece of cake, a bag of crisps, then allow yourself to have it. Because trust me, if you are eating well, eating enough food, eating enough good quality protein and drinking water, you are going to find that your cravings naturally start to diminish, slowly but surely, but they will diminish in time. So there you have it. That's my little kind of whistle-stop tour of cravings and how to regain control from them. So I'd love to hear from you. What do you think is the source of your cravings? Have you had any success in other craving alternatives? Or if you follow my 3 top tips and you find them useful or even not useful, I'd love to hear from you. So please do leave me a comment below. And if you have any questions, as always, I'm delighted to hear from you. So leave those down below for me as well. Until next time, thank you for watching and take care.